Once upon a time, in a beautiful land, there was a small castle sitting on a small hill, holding a small princess. That small princess stood in front of a small door. Now, this small princess looked at the small door until small curiosities took over her small head. The princess, unbeknown to her, discovered a secret in her castle. A small but wonderful secret. The princess was scared. The king and queen of the castle always told her to never go into dark, scary rooms, especially after sunset. "There could be monsters lurking around," the king said. "Revolting goblins and trickster elves waiting in the dark to come and take you away and eat you." But Princess knew these were just small stories for a small child. The princess was brave. Nothing was going to scare her. After all, this was her castle. This was her small secret to discover. And she wasn't going to be scared by some small children's stories. The small princess took one small step through the small door. Only the small door wasn't so small as originally thought. It was almost like another castle, thought the princess. The princess stood still. What is this place? She thought. The princess felt very alone, surrounded by darkness. She was scared. Until all of a sudden, a small glimmer of hope fell from the sky. What's this? She thought. A friend? A foe? A fairy. A fairy, she thought. They're not real. The fairy shot back up to the sky with the others, before scattering across the darkness, lighting the area. But that was not all. Elves, gnomes, leshins, and even a hidden troll spying from the cupboard, all watching the small princess. Princess was a little scared, to say the least. These were meant to be children's stories, she thought, made up by the king and queen to scare her. But contrary to this, it all felt nice. The small princess was approached by a small gnome. The gnome offered his hand to the princess, comforting her. The friendly gnome leads the brave princess further through the castle. Should I go back? Thought the princess. The king and queen must be getting awfully worried by now. But how could she leave this place? It was just enchanting. The further she walked, the more beautiful it became. Ponds as shiny as silver, housing fish like jewels. The dazzling blue sky so rich and clear. Families of leshins covering the land in a sea of green and brown that mix with the grass and small trees. The princess ran her small fingers through the small trees. She had never seen anything like this before. One of the leshins offered the small princess a small piece of fruit. A fruit so orange and bright, It was as if someone had taken a piece of the sun just for her. The king and queen always said not to take food from strangers, but that wasn't going to stop her. If she did what the king and queen said in the first place, she would never have found this place. So she took the fruit and one humongous bite. And it was unimaginable. Unfortunately, she could not stay. There was plenty more to see with her new friend. Eventually, the princess was deep into the castle. The door not even in sight. The pesky elves, curious of the small princess's small bear, tried stealing it. But Princess wasn't afraid of some small elf. This was her bear, and she would protect it, no matter what. The gnome stood in front of an old wall and knocked, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And the wall magically transformed until the small princess came face to face with yet another curious door. However, something did not feel right about this door. She had already delved into the rabbit hole once before. Does she dare do it again? All the little creatures from elf to fairy fled from the sight of this door, all except for one small gnome. The small princess was braver than all those creatures, however, and so she knocked, ever so cautiously, on the door. What could be inside? She thought. What else does my castle have to hide? Hand in hand with her friend, they ventured through the not-so-small door and into the unknown. As they walked through, the door slammed with a thunderous crack. How frightening! They both ventured further and further, curious for what or whom they might find. How exciting! Wait, who's that friendly fellow over there? She thought. Maybe I should say hello. The princess wandered closer and closer to the curious character. How shy! The small princess approached the kind, crooked man's chair, wondering who he was. Friend? Foe? Surely not another fairy. And so the princess took small steps until finally she stood in front of the nice old crooked man. The princess looked scared. Why is she scared? Thought the old crooked man. There's nothing to be afraid of. The crooked man gave her gifts of dresses and friends, fit for a queen, and now shows her an act of kindness by poof, bringing her little bear magically to life. The small princess's small frown fades, leaving a small smile in its place. But, oh no, the small princess lost her small friend. She better go after it before she loses him forever, thought the princess. The small princess realized her small curiosities put her in a small amount of trouble. She should not have disturbed other people's belongings. The king and queen had told her this many times. If only the small princess had listened to her king and queen more often. The small princess did indeed make a small new friend, and they were full of small surprises as well. The princess loved the magical garden. Why would she ever want to leave, she thought. She hated the king and queen. Why would she ever want to go back? The princess was being very mean to the nice old crooked man, even after he gave her such nice treats. Small princess, get over here now! Princess! Once upon a time, in a beautiful land, there was a small castle sitting on a small hill, holding a small prince.